computer. Okay. So what today we will go over is about reading and writing, reading from and writing to file. Okay, so I reference from this website. And all these examples I also uploaded to my GitHub. So if you go to the GitHub, I also posted the link, okay, on our course website. So like for chapter 1, so I have the class slides, the data file. Chapter 1 we don't have, and those are the extra class notes not covered by textbook. Okay, so you can reference that. So today is regarding reading and writing files. And what we are going to, in this course, mostly will become a separated value file, CSV file, but later on we will cover that. And for today, mainly, we just cover plain text file. And the CSV file is also plain text file, okay? And Python file objects. So Python file objects, it's IO module, okay, is a default module for accessing files. And you can have the function open and provide the file name and access mode. And this function will return a file object, okay? And for plain text file, it always have the end of line. So from other programming language, we also learned this, okay, to indicate each line's termination, okay. Binary file, like image, video, okay, those file, audio, those files considered as binary file, not a plain text file, okay. And there's another function, and plus a couple of other functions to read from files. So read line is one of it, okay. Read line, it returns a line of text to read from the string, okay. And including the new line, so /n at the end. It's if the end of the file is read, then it returns an empty string, okay. So that's just some very general idea. And then next, let's see. So here I gave an example, okay. So I have this plain text file, it's a CSV file, and I stored in a local folder, okay. So it's under the drive C, and I store it under documents, but documents in the folder, in the directory structure, it's under user and my username and documents, and I also have the semester and the course and the data file. So this is a file. And the mode to read the file, this is read only, okay. So read only. And here you see you have double slash, is it? So because this, so to access the subfolders, you have the slash, is it? So in the raw string, if you wanted to indicate that's a slash, so you need to add another slash, okay? So just like the /t, is it? That's for tab, okay? So similar idea. So see here we use the double slash for subfolder. So all of these are folders. So subfolder. Okay. And so you have this open function, and it return, you recall, it return a file object. So this my file handle is a file object. So with this file object, then you can call different kind of read function to read the data from the file, okay? And because here is plain text, so plain text, so you can specify, so after the read here means it's 3. So if you plug in 3, that means it's going to read the first 3 characters, okay? So one is one character because plain text file is it's counted by each character. Like this N is a character, E is a character, W is a character. Okay. So in this case, it will read the first three characters, three letters. And there's another function called read line. Okay, read line previously we learned, we explained, is it returns the line of the text. So read the complete line. Okay, but here maybe the first three already read. So it will start from after the first three. So starting from the fourth one. Okay, so read the remaining. Okay, so this R strip basically it will remove the trailing /n, okay, that carriage return new line. It will remove that. And then it also output this line. Okay, if you take a look, you will see that's what this. Basically, the previous line, it looks like this, name, and then address, and then email. That's the previous first line in the CSV file, okay? But because the read the first three letters, so that's why over here the output is NAM, only read the first three. And then here you read line, so it will read the remainings. So that's the read line. The read line go to here, okay? Let me use this eraser to erase this. Okay, then next, let's see. Next, it do read line again, but this time you also plug in the number, is it? So this means you are going to read the first two letters of the next line. So it will keep reading, okay, but only read the first two letters. So that's why over here you see the output is AB. And basically the previous line, it looks like this. It's ABC and then comma, then CTA, and then comma, then ABC at xyz.com. So that's a previous, because here it says, okay, read two, I say read line two. So that's why to get the first two letter. And then starting here, it use a loop. The loop, and this is the file object. File object. So this file object is also a sequence, okay? Because for the for loop, it loops through some sequence. So this is some sequence file object. Basically, it's line by line. So it will then for each line, so each line it will get from the sequence. Okay. So that's why the first line, you see, it will read the remaining. You see, after that, then it will go back to the next line. Okay, it's LMN, then that CTB something. Okay, and then it moves to PQR and CTC and then something. Okay, so this line, that line loop variable will keep get from the file object. The file object is my file handle. My file handle. And the file handle it get from the open. Okay. So that open will return the file handle, and it's a file object. And then you can always loop through it. Okay. And if you want to start at the beginning, that's also, if you don't do all of this, you can just start from the beginning using the loop. Then it will output name, address, starting from the first line, line by line, okay? And also, if you take a look here, so here you open the file. So after you processing file, always keep in mind, call the close, because this will, because once you open file, you basically keep the resource, is it? And if you call the close, then it will release the resource back to the operating system, okay? So keep this in mind, okay? So after you processing a file. And then what's next? Okay, next it's, so after you close, if you wanted to process the file line by line, or just to process the file, you need to call open again. So keep that in mind, okay? You need to open it again. So same file we open as a reading format. And this time you have another read function called read lines, okay? So what this function is to return all of the file, the lines from the file, but it's in a list, okay? So if you output these lines, it will show, if you take a look, it's in a list, okay? So that's different, okay? And if you take a look, it including that new line, is it? And each line is included in a single quotation. Anyway, it's a string, okay? So this is regarding read line. Read line is return the list. Okay, we know how to read. That's just this very simple case. And then let's see, how do you write string or text to file? Is it? Yeah. So there are some function called write and write line, okay? And let's see. So for write, you also need to call the open, and you provide the file that you want to write, okay? And the mode W means write. And when you do writing, also provide the encoding, okay? Which encoding you want to use, okay? This is Unicode, okay? And mostly used for Unicode. And we also have ASCII code. That's the simplest case, okay? ASCII code is plain text file, okay? So it's basically can take care of like numbers, letters, and some special signs on the keyboard, okay? So you open the file for write, and then you can call the write method. Within it, you plug in something you want to write to the file. Okay, so here we just have some lines and write to the file. After you use it, same thing, you need to call the close function, okay, to release the resource back to the system. So here we provide write first, and then next, let's see, this time we open that file again, okay, and we want to write the strings from this list, fruit list, also to that previous file. Because this case, that file, you already have some contents, is it? So the mode A is appending. So you're going to add more contents, is it, to the end of the file. So that's why it's A plus. and the encoding style. So then this time what we call is called the write lines, okay? Because each /n is a line, okay? You can call the write lines, and you pass in a list, and that list contains 3 lines, okay? And also for this case, this new file, is it? And you can also output it, read from file. That does not print. And why? Because here you see, when we run this, we didn't see any of the output. Is it? Why is it? Because after you do the write, the file cursor is at the end of the file. So if you wanted to print out so read off those lines from this file, okay, you need to have the file cursor set up at the beginning of the file, not at the end. So later on we will see, okay, there are some functions that can do that. So you see, after you call off the read, and if you want to start from the beginning of the file, it won't work. So you need to reset the cursor, okay? But anyway, here we close the again, okay? But of course, you can do read, you can open again, and once you open, then the cursor set to the beginning. But if you keep doing open and close, that's where waste too much resource, reading and writing for the opening and the closing, is it? So that's not an efficient way. So there's some other way you can put the cursor back to the to wherever you want to start to read the file. So we already see the mode for reading, for writing, and appending, and encoding as Unicode. And okay, so next, so now it shows, okay. So there's a function, because you want to know sometimes, is it where your file reading and writing to? Is it where it is? So here it said tell method from the file object will let us know which byte the file cursor is located. Okay, because whatever the reading, it will read where the cursor is at. So this is another function tell. There's another function called seek. Okay, so seek, there's some reference point and the offset. So reference points, it says the 0 for the beginning, or you can set 1 is the current position of the file, and 2 is the end of the file. Okay, and offset. So from that reference point and how many bytes you want it to start, you can set. Okay, so this is a seek function. So let's see. So here we have another list. The list has 3 lines, 3 lines. Okay, 3 string, but it's with /n. So basically, this is 3 lines. Okay, and then we open this file again. Mode is appending. So you support appending means writing. Okay, right. But you append more lines. You're not going to overwrite your original file. Okay, and then over here. Then it says, okay, in this list, is it? And we are going to get each line and let it write to the file. Okay. And then it will also let us know. So the tail then will let you know where your current file cursor is. Okay. So after we do that, it will show us, okay, this is where the file cursor is. So after you do all of the writing, okay, after you do that, it tells you where the cursor is. And then over here, we call seek. Okay, so you call seek you just specify 0, is it? So this will set your cursor at the beginning of the file. After you set the cursor at the beginning of the file, then you see you loop through this file object, and then you get each line, is it? And take off the ending /n. And you see it output each line. Is it from the beginning? Okay. We can see the outputs. Let's remove all this. If you recall previously, this file starting with the first 3 lines, then we add 3 fluid that in a list, 3 line, and then we add this 3 car also in a list, but it's 3 lines, is it? So if you recall over here, you write, is it? And where the cursor is at the end, basically. It's at 115, okay? And because over here, if you want to do the print, it won't. Previously, we already showed that. So if you do want to read from the beginning, that's how it works. Because once you do seek 0, it will bring the cursor, file cursor, back to the beginning. Okay. Because of that, then you can print. Okay. So after class, you can try. If you comment this out, if you do that, that won't print out anything. Okay. And here, then it also shows. It calls the seek 04. Okay. So offset. So the a reference point is 0. Reference point 0 means it starts at the beginning. Starting here is at the beginning of the file. And reference 4, so 0, 1, 2, 3. So it will start from ing, the I. Okay, fifths. So offset 4. So then you see, you call the read line. So basically it will give you this line, the remaining, is it? So yeah, so you see, that's the flexibility, okay? The tail and the seek, okay, can reset your file cursor so that you don't need always open and close the file, okay? After you complete all of the file processing, then you close the file, release the file resource back to the operating system. So here it shows how we take care of the file handle, file cursor. Okay, very useful concept. And what next one shows us is just another type of loop you can use. Okay, not always just with the file handler. Okay. So this is a file object we open for read, okay? And this time, the loop will not loop through the file object. This time, the loop is range 5. So range 5, basically, it will return you a sequence of numbers starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it will return you sequence of number. And then, okay, so here it says index. Okay, so this index loop variable will keep getting 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, each iteration it will get 1. But this time, if you see how we get line, you just call the next. Okay, and so for the next, you can also pass in the file object, then it will get the next line. Okay. And then you can output the line and take off the trailing /n. After you handle it, then you can close the file. Okay. So this just shows us multiple ways. Okay, you can loop through the file line by line. Okay, what the next information is regarding JSON file. Okay, JSON as a file is pretty useful, especially right now. A lot of data you retrieve from internet, basically they are in the format of JSON. Okay, especially if you do web development, you know that is that with the API called the GET, they return JSON. That even though it's a database, then you can, because after they return JSON, then front end can do some processing and retrieving and processing, and then display it on your user browser. Okay, so JSON, you probably heard that a lot. And JSON data basically it's name value pair. It's not a key value, okay? If you recall, we learned the concept key value pair. Key value pair is in dictionary. That's a data structure, okay? Here, this JSON is some file format. It's especially used in internet, okay? For internet, between front end and the back end, the data transfer. And so it's name value pair, okay? And it says the name must be string, okay? And written with double quotation. And for the value part, it can be any one of the following. It can be string, can be number, can be an object, JSON object, okay? JSON object, it uses curly brackets to represent, okay? Array uses square brackets, Boolean and null. So it only takes those data type, okay? It doesn't support user-defined data type. So be careful, okay, about JSON objects. What format of data it can support. And why we introduce JSON here? Because for our data analytics, you deal data, is it? And a lot of time, data is not just a CSV file you can directly get from internet. A lot of time, you need to do web scraping, okay? Or crawling. Okay, when you do those, normally you're going to deal with JSON format because on the web browser, a lot of times the data is shown in JSON format. After you script that, is it? So that's why we discuss a little bit about JSON. And then from JSON, then you do some processing and convert it to CSV file. With CSV file, then you can do data analysis and you can also do machine learning, okay? Okay, then let's see, how do we do that? And here it shows a list. So this is a list, okay? And to convert list to JSON string, you can call a function dumps, okay? And if we want to handle JSON, then you need to import JSON. So you need to import it, okay? Okay, and next, let's see. So in our example, we have a file called color JSON. Okay, so here you just like what we previously learned, that open function is an open file. So the open file to open the file, the open function will return file object. So you can have this with keyword, and the file object is as f. Then later on, all of the file objects is referenced with this f. Okay, and to load this JSON file, then you call load function from JSON. Okay, and then you pass this file object into the load function. And over here, then we can also output it. So you can see the output of the JSON file is it has name value pair, similar like dictionaries using colon, but the name part always string, you see, always string. And the value part for this one, it is a string, is it? And next one category is also a string, and then type is a string. And then for code, if you take a look, it's a little bit of, it's curly brackets. Here it's also, you see, very outside, it's also curly brackets. Curly brackets, previously we explained, it's JSON objects. JSON object. And within the JSON object, if you take it, it has another level. Is it a key value? So this is not a key, it's the name value. Name value. Name value. Is it? And for this value, if you take a look, what is it? This is array. Okay. And then next, you see here, so this is a JSON objects, is it? And then next, it has another JSON objects. Yeah, with curly bracket. That has a color category. Oh, I think I messed up here. Okay, that's the curly brackets, a pair. Okay, let's take a close look. So the first JSON object is here. This pair of curly brackets. Okay, let me change the different color. And then within it, you have color, you have category, you have type, you have code. Okay, and for the code, then we have another pair of curly brackets. This curly brackets is JSON objects as value. Okay, so the blue one, that's the first JSON objects. Okay, and then you have comma, is it? And then next, we start the second curly pair, where it ends. It's color, category, color, category, code. Doesn't have type here. So here you have color, then you have category, then you move to code. And for the code, then, okay, so here is the closing one. So here we have the second JSON object. And within these JSON objects, we have another JSON objects as the value part, okay? And then if we take a close look, you will find, let's start the third pair. Third JSON. So this is the third one. JSON objects. And then you have color, category. This time you have the type, and then you have the code. And within the code, you have JSON objects. Okay, so similar for the next pair. Okay, so that's regarding JSON objects. Okay, then you see if you want for the JSON file, you call the load. Okay, you call load. So this time we don't do read or read line. Okay, you call load. So it will, because otherwise the original JSON file, if we don't use this JSON package, just use a regular plain text file handling. And when you do file processing for JSON, then it may not be easy to handle. That's why Python provide this JSON objects, or not JSON object, provide this JSON package, okay, for us to use. So it's more convenient. Okay, so this is regarding JSON file, okay. Okay, then let's move on to the next one. So the next one, so we still take care of that color JSON file and open as read this time, okay? And also you use the with and as if, okay? And then you call the JSON load, is it? After you call the JSON load, so it, if you take a look, the previous result, is it? Basically, it's array of all JSON objects. Okay, so then so this is an array. Okay, so anyway, it's some sequence, is it? Or list. So then you can use the for loop. Okay, and then you can get each record. Okay, each record. So if we take a look, let's go back. To see how we handle with the output. Okay, so this record will get the JSON object from the file from this JSON objects, okay? Because it's a sequence, so we'll get each object. So let's see. The first one, you see, you get the color, okay? And then you specify the name, you will get the value, black, is it? So that's why here it says, okay, print color. So this is the string literal, and this is the value part. That's how you get the output, is it? For this part we get. And then you retrieve the category, okay? So category is hue, yeah, you get it. And next, you get the type. Okay, but sometimes you recall the second one, we don't have type, is it? In the original, we don't have type. So that's why over here you call that a get. If you recall in dictionary, basically here it's a similar concept as dictionary. If you recall, the dictionary has that get function, is it? And it has two parameter, key and the second parameter. The second argument, basically what it means is if the key exists, so it will use the true value. If not exist, it will take the second value as the value part. So that's why here you use get and you provide this net. So that means, okay, type doesn't exist if it, but in this case, type exists. So that's why it will give you this primary, okay? And then it move to code part. But for the code part, it returns the value is a JSON object, is it? So that's why we are going to keep reading, is it? Okay, keep reading. You have so you first get the code. So what this will return is this JSON object, because it's JSON object, so that's why you can next get the RGBA. So RGBA will return you this list. And then next it will be the hex. So then it will return you this one. Okay. So it's a kind of nested concept. Okay. So that's how we get each individual name value pair, okay, from this JSON file. So this is a kind of very low level processing, okay. But we get some idea, yeah, how to processing the JSON file. But if you take a look, you see over here the output. The output, did you see? This is the first JSON object. The object, is it? And then here we have that second one. Second one, if you take a look at the type, it is net, is it, based on the original file, okay. And the remaining, okay. Yeah, so this is regarding JSON file. And the next concept is also quite useful, especially with very large data file. Okay, it's buffering concept. Okay, so buffering concept, basically when we watch video or listen to audio from internet, basically the local your operating system also do some kind, the app also do something called buffering. Okay, it's not, so it's kind of from the server side, you retrieve a chunk of data. Chunk of data. You fetch chunk of data to local machine and store that, okay, then play that. And then you fetch another chunk, okay. And then in this case, at local, when you watch or listen, you feel it's very smooth, is it? Yeah, because otherwise sometimes due to the internet latency or file reading latency, then the user experience not very good, okay, if you synchronize, okay. So that's the concept of buffering. So you pre-fetch, okay, chunk of data to the local, because when you play, it may not just play off them, is it? So the concept is kind of you pre-fetch maybe 100 frames, but when you play, the video is frame by frame. So you already have it. Then after a while, you prefetch the second 100 frames. So at the local, when you play it, you won't feel that maybe internet got delayed. So the latency, okay, the speed latency, so that you won't feel that. Okay, so that's the idea about buffering. And in Python, for buffering, it says you pass an integer to buffering to set the buffering policy. Okay, so here it says 0, it says to switch off buffering. Okay, but it's only allowed in binary mode. Okay, 1 to select line buffering. So this is only use text mode. And because we only deal with text, so we are going to use this. That is next is any integers are greater than 1, then indicate size in bytes of a fixed size chunk of data. Okay. And if negative value, then set a buffering policy to the system default. Okay. So this is regarding some number for buffering policy. Then let's take a look at this example. Okay. So first, you have the system. I/O is input output. Okay. You want to know what is default buffer size. So here it gives us. So in my case, okay, my system, the default buffering size is this number 8192. Okay. Then you see we deal with that file again. This time we do reading, and you can set buffering. Is it? Yeah. So this buffering is 1, so it's a line buffer. So line by line, okay. And then it's do the checking. If it's line by AI, it says it's true, line buffering, okay. And this is just output this delimiter line, okay. And then here it says, okay, file contents equals the file.buffer. Okay, so we started doing the buffer, and then it start read from the buffer. Okay, so this file contents is from the file buffer. So it can keep doing. Okay, after that it will finish. So you see the output. It's a little bit different. You have that B in front of it. Okay. So this is regarding file buffering. And also maybe sometimes you don't want to load the complete file to your application to do processing, is it? So you just want to do certain chunk of, then you can also borrow this approach. So next concept is regarding encoding. Okay, encoding. So encoding, we have the Unicode encoding. So variable length Unicode, UTF-8 is variable length Unicode encoding. It supports 1 to 4 bytes. Okay, each letter in ASCII code is 7-bit. So ASCII code is a different encoding. Okay, it's a simplest case. But Unicode, because it's use 1 to 4 bytes, so Unicode is support different kind of language. Okay, not just English. It also support other program or not program, other language. Okay, and ASCII is just a plain text for the English. It only has 128 characters. So its code is from 0 to 127. Okay. And there's another CP1252. Okay, that's Windows use it primarily. It's a Western European language. So there are different kinds of encoding. And then here we see you open that file, is it for reading? And you want to know what its encoding is, and then you can also like read. So we already know. So here it tells us, okay, the reading, the encoding. Default encoding is at CP1252. And then for the next one, and because this is plain text, so we didn't see any difference. Okay. The next one, when you open the read, the mode is read and the encoding is that Unicode. Okay. And when we find the print out the encoding, it shows it's Unicode. And then you can also retrieve each line. Okay. So that's some basic information about file handling. And what the next topic is some brief discussion about the built-in iter method. So if you recall previously, we learned iterator, is it iterator? So iterator, it support iteration, okay? So if you do something, so this is a list, so you can pass a list to this function, okay? If you just output it, it won't give you the whole list. It will just return the address of this iterator. If you do want to loop, you need to do like the for loop, is it? And then call next to output each individual one or retrieve each individual one, okay? There is no index for you to access individual, not like list or tuple, okay? So the way to access is through the loop and use next. Or if you use a loop, you don't need a next, okay? Because the loop is within itself, the iteration will take care of the next. Otherwise, if you don't use loop, you need to do next, keep calling next to get each individual item, okay? And here it just shows us another quite interesting function called map. Okay, so map is another built-in Python function, and it also iterator operator. Okay, so what it means is it has a single parameter function. Okay, so single parameter function within it. Okay. And then each element of an iterable one at a time. So it will apply. So if we take a look, this map, so lambda expression previously we explained, it's an anonymous inline function, okay? So it only has what? Has a single, in this case, a single parameter, okay? And after it, we see this is a list. So this list is some iterable thing. Some iterable thing, is it? So what this lambda does is, so it will get each item and then append symbol after it. So if we use this map function, it's very convenient. Otherwise, you need to find some other way to write it, is it? Yeah, so here is very simple. Yeah, so then it will, so if you call map and pass in this function and then provide a iterable sequence, then it will automatically take each item out from the iterable sequence and then do some operation on it. Okay, that's what uh, uh, this one shows. So it's just some small trick here you can use. Yeah, we can see that in Python there are quite a number of programming tricks. Okay. And what the next one shows us, okay, so here we define a function. But be careful, okay, this map, the function, it's a single parameter, not a multiple parameter function. Okay, the function you pass in a single parameter. So here we define a function called a multiple, okay, multiplication, and it has a single parameter. But this single parameter, basically, it's some sequence. In this case, it can be sequence. With this kind of sequence, then what you try to do, you try to get each of it and do multiplication. So this is kind of like factorization math, is it? It's 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, is it? It's in something like this, okay. It's not. It's depends on the list, okay, but something similar, okay, like this. Do the multiplication. Okay, then we call this map function. Is it? So you pass in this operation, and over here, what is this? Zip. If you recall, zip does pair multiple sequence and aggregate. Okay, it's a pair and aggregate. Okay, so here you have two lists, so you're going to pair. After you pair, it's going to be like 1, 4, and then 2, 5, and then 3, 6. So you pair them, is it? So that's what the zip returns. And then you are going to apply this multiple. So the multi will apply to each of that. Apply to each of it. So it's do the multiplication, is it? The result. So that's why how you get this. So what here is that basically you see map also an iterator. Okay, it returns an iterator. So that's why you pass in this iterable sequence to the list. So you can create a list. Okay, so this is the neat part for this map function. Okay. And that's the coding part. And I think that's all for today's material.